Hi, Dr. Brett Van Norman here, Advanced Pain Centers in Singapore. This is part two of the two-part series that I was doing on the coronavirus. First of all, what what is the coronavirus? What makes it infectious? I encourage you to go take a look at that video. This part here is really all about what we can do, what we can be proactive, what we have some power over. That's why I call it power in action. So there's a few different keys to making sure our immune system is at its strongest, making sure our body is ready to fight off whatever is out there, be it the coronavirus or any other sickness for that matter. Touched on how very important it is these days to take care of our bodies and take care of ourselves. It's always been important, but this has given us a huge opportunity to start really looking at our health and not being able to take too many shortcuts anymore. This is just making it more to the forefront of what it's going to take to just live in our society now, where I think we're going to have to start paying attention to each other's health and really what it's doing to the rest of us. So how is our diet affecting not only us, but our families and the rest of us? Sleep, exercise, thinking well, supplementation. We'll talk about certain supplements that are particularly helpful at this time for stress as well as for the immune system, which of course are very much linked. And then finally, we'll go into some common sense measures that will help us stay protected. So I'm starting with the diet here, and what we're going to use an acronym for helping us to remember is a GPS, so gluten processed sugar. So gluten, this is a huge problem, worldwide, but in Singapore, we have many breads and cakes shops. We have noodles. These are all filled with gluten, highly processed gluten. Now, gluten is a protein that is particularly tough on our digestive system. Everyone pretty much now has heard of being gluten intolerant or being allergic to gluten. And again, that has to do with a lot of our bodies rejecting this particular protein. And what it does for a lot of us is, well, to all of us, but some of us even more so, is it really creates gaps in our stomach lining, in the cells of our stomach lining, and allows basically the bad things to get through these barriers. They're supposed to be airtight. They're supposed to be very tight barriers. And things like gluten increase the size of these holes that, again, allow things to get through. So gluten, stay away. Processed, of course, the more processed foods are, the more potentially harmful they're going to be. Read the ingredients on anything you're putting in your body, especially the packaged ingredients from, say, the grocery store. If you can't pronounce it, then it's best not to put it in your body. There's so many artificial and ingredients that are, even if they're not artificial, they're designed to, say, be preservatives and make the food last a long, long time. So the more heavily processed, in general, it means that they're taking out the nutritional value for many of these foods and for the purpose, again, of making them last longer, maybe taste better. So in general, they're not going to be a good thing to be taking in. Can we get rid of every single thing that we eat as a processed food? Probably not. And again, gluten, maybe you don't want to take that completely out of your diet. But if we monitor how much of these things we're putting in, we might want to cut down on them. The final one is S, sugar. The studies show that it can be up to 50% reduction in the immune system for taking in a couple can of Coke, for example, which is a lot of sugar. So this reduction can last anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. And if you think about how much sugar is in a lot of these foods that we're putting in our bodies, especially these processed foods, you might be surprised. We You might even be thinking, well, maybe I just drink tea, for example. And if it's in a can or in a bottle, and from a lot of these herbal shops, those ones they sell daily, they're just filled with sugar. So we think we're being healthier, perhaps, but in fact, it's not any better or much better than, say, a can of soda. So pay attention again to any of these things that you're putting into your body often. And if you are, it's definitely going to reduce your immune system. So it really is as simple as looking at someone's diet to know how well their immune system is functioning. I would say it's really such a huge percentage of our immune response has to do with what we put into our bodies through our diet. A good diet, you have a stronger immune system. Poor diet, less so. It's really that simple. So let's get into some specifics on what you can do to support your immune system. Really some nice, clean eating with things like wild fish. It's really tough to get in Singapore, and it can be pricey, but if you're going to eat fish, highly recommend that it is wild. Plant-based diet is also a great idea. A lot of us have too much meat in our diet, and this can also reduce our immune system function depending on how much and what kind of meat we are eating. Fruits and vegetables, very obvious. A lot of us aren't getting at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every day, which is something I would recommend for everyone. If you're going to eat meat, make sure it's grass-fed. A good portion of the meat that we have is not grass-fed, so please pay attention to that. High fiber, seeds, nuts, bone broth. I discussed this in one of my initial videos on the kind of bone broth I recommend, and I'll let you read through the rest here, but pay attention in particular even to the oils that you use for cooking. There's good and bad. Highly processed oils are a big no-no for the immune system. Here's something that has been shown recently to be extremely effective for the immune system. They've shown that people can actually rebuild their immune system by doing what's called intermittent fasting. Now, without getting, there are many different kinds of intermittent fasting or fasting that can be done. What I recommend just to start is really just taking a break from certain times of the day in eating. So in essence, you take 16 hours of the day where you're not doing any eating. For me, I start at about 11 a.m., actually not about, at 11 a.m. every day, and I try to finish, this one's a little bit tough if after work and whatnot, but try to stop anywhere from 7 to 8 for me. So that's a good portion of time that I'm fasting. In the morning time, I will take coffee, and that's it. So again, during the time period of, say, 16 hours or so, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but try to keep on a schedule. And if you do this, even just start doing it for a week and see how your body starts to feel. And your immune system will be stronger because of it, but you'll probably feel more energy, and even your mood, your sleep, everything will be affected for the better. So this is what I recommend to do. Again, just to start, there's many different types of fasts, but this one is something everyone can do. So it still gives a really generous time period to eat, and it'll take away from a lot of the snacks that we get to do, but again, your body will thank you for it. Try it for 1 week. If you have any questions about it, please feel free to ask me. And if it applies, it pretty much applies to every single person. They can do this. But again, if you have questions about yours specifically, feel free to contact me. Sleep. Getting enough sleep. Everybody knows the concept of getting enough sleep and healthy quality sleep. That is very important. It is absolutely necessary for our immune system to get enough sleep. It helps replenish all of the good hormones, dissipates all of the stress hormones. And what we need to accomplish this is quiet, of course, and just try and make sure that there's no light whatsoever, not even just a little bit of light in the room. The melatonin in your body really ramps up in the evening time and then slowly starts to dissipate through the night. And this cycle, melatonin is vital for our immune system. So making sure this cycle is going through its proper motion is critical. So the amount of sleep should be anywhere from 7 to 9 hours, depending, but at least 7 hours is a very good baseline for pretty much everybody. Exercise. Another very important part to the immune system health is making sure you're staying active. We talk about, in my clinic, stress hormones quite a bit, and there's really no doubt that they're circulating through our bodies. In Singapore, we're going through a period of time, as in most of the world, where we're doing a lot of stay-at-home work. The children are at home. It could be even crammed in your place. There's just a lot of anxiety and fear and stress around. It's easy to pick up on. If we don't do anything about dissipating these hormones and the stress, it's just going to continue to stay in the body and create more and more damage. Those hormones, they're good for initial response. It's called a sympathetic response, fight or flight response. And it's good, of course, if we have some sort of emergency or we need to run away from danger. And what it does is it takes away blood from the inner core of the body, things like the digestive system, and it puts it out in the periphery to the skeletal muscles and, say, the arms and legs to, again, help us in things like running away from danger. It's a very primitive part of the system. But if it stays too long, it creates more and more damage. So, for example, if you have these hormones activated and then you eat, well, there's not enough blood really getting into the digestive system to properly take care of the food and break it down and digest properly. In essence, this is not where the system is designed to recover and rest and rejuvenate. This is the system, the sympathetic part, if activated, that is really designed to use up energy. And so it can cause all kinds of different breakdowns in the system if it's activated too long. So what we want to do is be able to take that and burn it off. Burn those hormones off, burn that energy off. And even simply by going for a long walk, say a 30-minute walk every day, especially right now, we all have time for it. Just throw on a mask and go for a walk. We just do a little workout in our house if we don't go for a walk. But anything you want to do just to stay active. Most of my patients use the excuse of not having enough time to exercise enough. And for most of us, we do not have that anymore. We don't have a reason not to do it. So this is a great opportunity to just get out there and burn those stress hormones off. Get rid of that anxiety. It's just doing you more harm than good right now. One of the last aspects we'll talk about today is thinking well. So this is an important piece, again, because of how much information is out there. Not much of it's positive, right? Not much of it is stuff that makes us feel good. And because of this, the increased stress and anxiety, if it stays in the body, it's going to create damage. We need to work on ways to reducing those stress hormones. And all the things before are big parts to it, but so is this. Things like meditation. Many people that I talk to about doing meditation say they're just not capable of it. They've tried and it just doesn't work. Really, all you need to do is start with a couple minutes at a time. Do that a few times a day. And it's just being still. Just letting the mind wander, sort of paying attention to it wandering, trying to bring it back, and perhaps even focusing in on the body. There's really so many ways to meditate. And if you want more information on what I recommend, even just to start, please let me know. I'm happy to give you a couple tips on that. So supplements, what can I take to strengthen my immune system? These are things that I'm going to recommend you take more of, no matter what you're taking in your diet. For 99% of us, we're going to need a little bit more help. Things like vitamin C and vitamin D, I would say these two are very, very important right now. They're really good antioxidants, good for tissue repair, and vitamin D in particular is antiviral, as well as vitamin A is antiviral. Omega-3, a lot of us are not getting enough of this. This can be fish oils, olive oil, curcumin, that's in turmeric. It's going to be really, curcumin is a part of what's in turmeric, and it's really tough to get concentrated. It's tough to eat enough turmeric to get enough curcumin that's effective. Curcumin is what we do in our practice for inflammation. We talked about some of the common conditions in the last video of what make us more susceptible to actually getting the more serious side of the coronavirus and the studies that they've shown so far. And it has to do a lot with inflammation of the body, systemic inflammation. Curcumin is and omega-3, actually all those vitamins above there, they're very good for anti-inflammatory reasons as well. So especially if we've got something like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, really of any sort, any kind of lung issue, we should be really taking a good dose of curcumin. Zinc is a powerful antibiotic for the body, making sure you're getting enough zinc, which can be found in nuts, spinach. And supplementation is a good way to get that too. A lot of us really, again, aren't getting enough through our diet. Probiotics, these are good bacteria. Please do not take things like Yakult, which say they have a lot of good probiotics in them. First of all, it's filled with sugar, and second is the types of probiotics inside there are very minimal and basic. There are plenty of other supplements that you can take that have very, very high quality ingredients. Another very important piece to our immune system and keeping our strength at its optimum level has to do with, of course, the most important system of the body, which is the nerve system. Our patients will know that this part is what we're working on every single day in the clinic to keep it at optimum levels by removing the interference from those misalignments of the spine. This is, again, a big key piece to the immune system because this is what's in control of a lot of it. We talked earlier about how the stress hormones and the stress part of the nerve system, the sympathetic side, seen here, when that's activated, it decreases our immune function. And it's where a lot of us are spending a big part of our day, too much of our day. It should be a very small part, where the parasympathetic, we want it to be activated almost all of the time. This is the regeneration, recovery. This is the part that goes for digestion. And it's just, if this is not activated, our immune system cannot function at optimum levels. So once again, this is the big part of the chiropractic side of things, is making sure that this system is balanced, making sure the nerves are flowing and working properly. Common sense things like wearing your mask, social distancing, making sure you're cleaning your hands and other surfaces. I don't need to get into too much detail about that. You all are aware. So hopefully this made sense to you, and there's at least a few things you can even get started with right away. Obviously, the chiropractic adjustment side of things, we can't really take care of you right now, unfortunately, but we will be back in a couple weeks. Now, if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to leave a comment or contact me or contact any of the doctors of Advanced Pain Center. If you have any suggestions on what you want to hear about as well, I'm happy to take some suggestions and make some more videos just to keep in contact with all of you. Hope you enjoyed this, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you. Be well.